Over all of our videos, we've been telling you some of the most fascinating stories about CSGO, but somehow we managed to skip one of the most infamous cheating scandals in the history of this game. Today, we'll talk about Akuma. No one really heard of them, but they managed to qualify to the RMR tournament and beat the hell out of Na'Vi and Virtus.pro. The noise made from this was so high that it was comparable to the iBuyPower scandal. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because you're watching CYBERSHOKE. And today, we're going to talk about how these guys started one of the biggest cheating scandals in the history of CSGO. We want to start this video by pointing out that this situation is filled with disputes and personal conflicts between many people. You could even say that this scandal is fully opinion-based, but if we were to examine each and every dispute between pro players and analysts, this video would literally be hours long. So our goal for today is just to explain to you how this controversy with Akuma started, figure out why they weren't banned for it, and who the hell they are in the first place. Well, let's just start with that for now. As a team, Akuma started shortly before an RMR tournament, EPIC CIS League, in the spring of 2021. The core of their roster played together for a while now, but no one really knew anything about them, because they were just another face in the crowd of Tier 3 teams. Successfully qualifying on that RMR, they first did something that could just be called a good result. They fought hard with Gambit, and then beat one win in K23. But what they did in the playoffs exceeded all expectations. To put it plainly, Akuma completely crushed Na'Vi and Virtus.pro, making Simple perform one of the worst maps of his career. The scandal developed quickly. This no-name team that seemed to come out of nowhere easily won 2 games against the main favorites in the RMR tournament. And since no one dared accusing Na'Vi or VP of throwing a game, all the allegations were directed towards Akuma. The tension was rising with every passing hour. Very soon, someone noticed that Akuma players were turning their heads in a very particular way, almost as if they were sneaking peeks at something behind the monitor. Practically, that doesn't prove anything, but the other teams didn't do anything like that. Also, they checked the radar before important retakes and then entered the plant, completely ignoring some important positions, as if they were sure they were clear to go. Then, an old post by insider OverDrive also popped up. There, he talked about some new way to cheat on the tournament, when some third parties got their hands on the live data about the map. OverDrive said, quote, "One of the Majesty players used it." And guess what? Jeki, one of the Akuma players, was playing for Majesty back then. The first pro player who publicly spoke up against Akuma was Dima OneShot. Dima was prepared for all the shame and hate that would come his way if he ended up being proven wrong, but he was certain that Akuma was cheating. The professional community supported his opinion. In the next few hours, a lot of pro players and analysts also said that there was something fishy with how this team played. At first, Akuma completely ignored all the allegations, but after a while, Sensei decided to speak out and publish a big post with his version of events. He said that just because they're not well known doesn't mean that they're a weak team. In Sensei's words, Akuma trained very hard and were hugely motivated to continue showing good results. Of course, the control of fair play is the responsibility of the TO. If Valve trusts you to hold an RMR, then please show us some responsibility. But pretty soon, it became clear that this whole event was a big mess. When analysts started to dig up information about it, they found a lot of shocking details. For instance, it turned out that formally, the organization who was supposed to be responsible for this event was Russian Esports Federation, but in fact, it was actually held by EPIC Esports Events. You see, EES and Virtus.pro are both part of a larger company together, so since Virtus.pro played on that RMR, Valve wouldn't allow EES to host this event because that would present a conflict of interest. So before the tournament even got started, the community was already suspicious about the fact that it was organized by EES, who was using Russian Esports Federation as a pad. Now, if you think about it, there's nothing really wrong about hosting an event through a friendly organization, but how they handled it is a whole other kettle of fish. For example, the official announcement of the tournament came just 1 week prior to its start. That was a huge headache for big teams that typically plan their schedules months ahead of time. And while other TOs hosted 4 open qualifiers, EPIC Esports Events made just 1. So if, let's say, your player got the flu on the day of the open quals, then you just had to skip the whole event. Also, these qualifiers were scheduled to start at 6 in the evening, so the games ended very late. Even in the best case scenario, you're going to have to go to sleep at 3 a.m. and on the next day be tired and exhausted, still having to go and play the close stage. Oh, and where exactly did the TOs decide to host the servers for this CIS event? Moscow maybe? Or St. Petersburg? No, in Sweden, Germany, and the Netherlands. Wow. Great choice. But sure, these all could have just been mistakes. Hugely incompetent, but still just honest mistakes. But then, what would you say about the story by Zorte, who already played for Fours back then? In his post, Sasha said that when they connected to the server, their manager noticed that GoTV didn't have a password and delay. He told the admins about it because some crafty people could use it to gain an unfair advantage. Fours recommended to admins to set the password and some delay on GoTV. And what do you think happened? Yes, the password was set, but the delay was still on 0. And for the whole game, some Chinese guy was chilling in the spectator slot, doing what? Nobody knows. It's just yet another example of how that tournament was organized. So when TOs started to receive inquiries regarding Akuma, no one had the slightest amount of surprise that, guess what? They didn't record demos nor install any anti-cheat software on their servers. That means that if cheating did happen in their tournament, there would be no way to prove it. At this point in time, Akuma weren't shy anymore. Sergiz and Sensei were even guests on the Respawn podcast. There, they explained the strangest moments from their games. Actually, they sounded very confident, and oftentimes their version of events seemed quite logical. But then there were also other moments where an Akuma player got asked, "So why on earth did you look away in this clutch so many times?" And he just said, "I don't know. Honestly, I don't even remember that moment." By that time, a whole explanation of how exactly Akuma allegedly cheated started appearing on the internet. You see, on official Twitch streams, there's always a delay set. That way, no stream sniping could happen. But since the largest portion of money in esports comes from bookmakers, they have some indulgences. You see, it's critical for bookmakers to gather all the data about the game without any delay, so that they can set appropriate live odds. If you've ever made any bets on CSGO, you might have noticed that the score on bookmakers' sites is always a couple of minutes ahead of the official stream or HLTV. That's what we're talking about here. But bookmakers don't just get the info about the score, they have everything. Live, with no delay. Just like in GoTV, it happens at every HLTV tournament. And since there are dozens of bookmakers who want to have live CSGO betting, TOs don't work with them directly. There are some projects, so-called data providers, that buy this data from TOs in order to sell it to bookmakers. There are rumors that some data providers wanting to make some more money oftentimes sell the data to third parties that will use it for creating cheats. And that's just the thing that Akuma were accused of. Allegedly, someone from the team got a deal with a data provider or an Epic League admin and got all the info about the enemies without any delay. So when Russian Esports Federation said that they checked Akuma's PCs and therefore their names were cleared, they were instantly a laughingstock. Guys, we're talking about leaked live data. You don't need any software on your PC to use that. At that time, the highly respected CIS players Starix and Hooch hosted a 7-hour-long stream where they deconstructed Akuma's game against OneWin and found many strange moments that no one could explain. Here's an example.
Он садится, ему надо кинуть смог, да, ну типа по раунду ему надо кинуть смог какой-то на А, чтобы сделать какой-то фейк, да?
Да, астрали смог.
Он кидает,
Ну
и
как?
тут готовы? Готовы. Не, нихуя, меня спушит длину, вот он. Ну, но как это объяснить?
Очень просто. Game sense.
When it became clear that the TOs just couldn't prove Akuma guilty, the other participants of that RMR wrote a public letter to Valve. This was the first such incident in the history of competitive CSGO. In that letter, teams asked Valve to get involved and conduct their own investigation. Only Akuma and Marlian refused to sign the letter. The latter is another shady Tier 3 organization that allegedly was also using a radar hack every once in a while. Sometime later, ESIC published the first part of their investigation. The most interesting part from it was about Alexei Shishko, the guy who had some strong connections with Akuma players and oftentimes placed some strange bets on their games. But obviously, that didn't prove anything. Time was slipping away, and Valve didn't respond about the letter or on the ESIC findings. Akuma played the victim card and became the most discussed CSGO team for a while, and still no direct evidence had been found against them yet. The next RMR by Starladder was the deciding moment for Akuma. There, they surprisingly failed, and the players, for some reason, weren't looking behind their monitors anymore. Taking part in a few more Tier 3 tournaments, Akuma promptly disbanded. The scandal around Akuma happened to be so discussed not because some no-name team just beat Navi, but because they were allegedly using completely new cheats. Some wall hacks can be noticed by an anti-cheat, but a radar hack can't. So the community came to the consensus that Akuma had been cheating. All the pro players and analysts knew they had cheated, but it was just one of those cases where it couldn't be proven outright. Alright, that's enough scandalous activity from us today. How about you drop your own opinions in comments down below? And of course, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because you are watching CYBERSHOKE. Bye for now.